Um, yeah. So I'll cover this, guys. There's a couple of you on tonight. If there's any questions or anything you want me to cover, guys, just give us a shout or put a comment in the chat. But failing that, I'll do is I'll just cover this for Dan. Obviously, he might well watch it back, hopefully. But it's a good setup anyway. Obviously, he was looking for a buy. I see why, but the buy I'll cover the buy as well. But it's yeah, it wasn't nice enough for me just because of a general rule that I use as on the last touch of a trend line. There's I like the last touch to then pull back, and then I generally like that one to be broken. So this was Dan's trend line here. It's a great little trend line. There's absolutely no issues with it. It's just obviously after this last touch here, it pulls back. So I would generally want probably that low to be taken before I really thought about. No, it was buys, wasn't he? Sorry. Yeah. Sorry, I'm confused myself. So I'm thinking sells, which was the right one. Sorry. So I'll start again. So trend line, great trend line. Obviously, this has taken this imbalance point of interest caused obviously this trend line to be taken. Uh, he has obviously marked up probably this. I don't know exactly where he marked it, but I think it was quite a smallish point of interest. So obviously he's tapped that, and then it's rebroke to the upside, and then obviously he's tried taking an entry somewhere in here, I'm guessing, which is sort of right for a continuation trade. It's yeah, I understand why he's done it. He's technically right, but also technically very wrong. But one of the one of my major issues, like what I was saying before, it sort of ties in with this. So on the last touch of the trend line, there's this pullback here. So we've got this pullback here. So obviously it then sweeps liquidity, which obviously this does is the direct sort of cause of it. But because this is such a lot of price action, the reality is that price could come back into any point in here, likely down here. Obviously, there's a big push up here. Price could come anywhere in. I'll mark the whole zone actually, so you can sort of see it. Price in theory could come back anywhere in here, mitigate it, break to the upside on the 1 minute, which obviously Dan was looking for. Sweep, mitigation, break, and then obviously entry somewhere. This would have been tapping an entry. Whereas because there's so much price action down on this pullback from this pullback here, obviously in the breaking point along somewhere along here, I'll extend that. So anywhere below this trend line here, obviously this is just extended because that's the point in which the liquidity is taken. So from that high, sorry, to this low, price could technically come down, fill summit, break to the upside, and buy up. So this huge pullback is off-putting for me. I think it will actually break it eventually. I do think we are possibly going to create a new lower low. So structure is obviously, as you can see here, it's heavily bearish, and I've drawn the last sort of like part of the structure. There's obviously I say it most weeks. There's multiple structures going on, so I've just picked the. So I'm on the 4 hour at the minute. So high, create a low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. There might be something in here that's maybe a structure, but if you zoom out, I'm quite happy with how that sort of is drawn. So obviously Dan was looking for the buy. The I always try and advise you guys to obviously look for reasons not to get into the trade. So Dan was happy with his confirmations. It is sort of trending upwards, but structure wise, this is possibly just a pullback because the next swing is possibly from this low. We're pulling back. We're hitting the top. We're starting to hit the top end of this whole leg here. So we'll possibly see the new lower high put in, and we could well see lower low. Obviously, it could still go up. There's no full confirmations yet because obviously lower time frames is this sort of like low where it's sort of around about now. And that'll be market. I'm not sure if that's actually broke or not, but with it being market close, I wouldn't trust it at the minute anyway. So I'd still want to see what happens this coming week. And then overall, I'd want to guarantee sort of like it's downtrending again. I'd want to see, like I say, that one broken and this one broken, and then obviously this would be another higher time frame breakdown here. So I'll just draw them on that low, that low, and that low. They're mainly these two to be broken, I guess, because once that's broken, it's a new higher time frame, lower low content anyway. So at the minute in the trade, I'll get in for obviously for the sell side, and I'll get to the actual setup in a minute. We've had what I would consider, say, a 1 minute break to the downside. So obviously I'm on the 5, it's just so you can see the candles, but we've got this little structure going on here, so it's trending upwards. So under here is probably say maybe a 5 minute break. Definitely one up here. And should I have had it marked up, obviously this would have been the confirmation I wanted for the sell. So which I'll get to now. But yeah, that's the 1 minute break for me. Maybe even that as a 1 minute, but probably that one to be a lot safer to be fair. But as I said, I like the last touch of the trend line, which is this one here, this red line here. The pullback after that, I generally want this break in here as a rule of thumb. Obviously, if you were trying to be extra cautious, this would be a better confirmation under here, but it does both anyway before it comes for the entry. So that's obviously if Dan had maybe looked at reasons to not get in the trade. I'm not saying I spotted this easily, by the way. It took me a while to actually break down and see what was going on. So obviously structuring, we're down. We are just at the minute in a pullback until this high is taken. So what it does from obviously in this whole big range, it's such a big range, but we are bearish, maybe obviously short term bullish until this high is taken. High. And it's red. So I'll delete some stuff quick so you can see stuff. So structure high, currently structure low down here. So still bearish until high taken, and obviously if it takes the low, it's just a continuation of the bearish structure. So because as I've mentioned before, we are getting high up into this range. So I don't normally use this, it's just for you guys to visually see. So I'm back from the top of the range to the bottom of the range, drag it right a bit. Where obviously this is the 50% mark. line here. We're past the 50. I'm sure people say 50 is classed as a valid pullback. Uh, I would prefer sells from anywhere in the 75% or the first 25%, depending on which way you look at it. But obviously, if there's no, if there's a good setup and it's just a bit lower, then it can technically sell off from anywhere it likes. But there's good reasons for it to sell off from here. I don't particularly see it too much higher. I'd have to have a deeper look, but I do generally think this could be the new lower high on the higher time frame. So obviously I've shown you structure already, and as you can see, I've marked this blue line here. I'll leave it blue because I've got loads of red going on. So structure low, lowest point of this swing here before obviously it pulls back quite high up into this range again, and there is a trade in here, as you can sort of see, which I'll maybe get to as well. But structure low, swing 4 hour or daily swing low, level line across. We can see that this order block in here is the likelihood cause of this low being taken. So we've got a real nice sort of order block marked here. Obviously, this blue line is Dan's trend line. From my view, we've got this trend line, which is much closer to the sweep as well. So we've got 1, 2, 3 touches. I don't class that one as a touch here. This is just shy, but there's 2 touches just in here, so I'll show you how picky I am about them. So as you can see, this one here, not good enough. About a pip short, just under. But as you see, as you get down in the time frame, there's a perfect touch, and then another perfect touch. So not easy to spot though. And obviously you see that the first touch is magneted onto a wick high, so I know that one's touching even though I've just moved that slightly. So yeah, 3 perfect touches there. Obviously sweep into the point of interest. So this is your sweep here. Obviously pull back last touch, sweep, and then it starts breaking lows in here. So that would be, once it starts breaking these lows, this first low would be the one I would look to then as my confirmation. Possibly that one does both. Once they're both done, especially from that point there. So let's just jump straight to the one. One of them two being broken is my last confirmation I would be looking at for the sell. So obviously from this point, I would just say jump in, look for a nice imbalance to be filled. But obviously this is a nice sort of down push. But if this was my change of character, I would generally be looking for an entry just after this candle here. So this push takes this candle here. I've even got a candle for this candle here. This candle. That's the one that takes the first low. So any candle, I would generally have an alert at that at this low. So when that crossed, I'd hopefully be looking at my phone. Well, that's sort of like that. Oh, this is generally when I'd hopefully be looking at my phone. So this is the price action that I would be saying go and pick an entry. So this obviously we've got this little bit of imbalance here. So possibly something from this, and then we've got a couple of little tiny little bit of imbalance on the 1 minute there. So that's a possibility, and we've got the tiniest amount up here. So which is obviously the entry that I've marked. I don't advise you guys to do it, but we'll drop down even further. So obviously this doesn't look impulsive enough, and neither does this on the 15 second. This one does to a degree. Maybe narrow this one up. So I always advise to do this if you're gonna do the seconds chart. So mark it from the say the 1 minute or five or whatever you're comfortable with. And then if you are going to go lower, work your way down and disregard zones as the zones change. So that was a 15. This one here is I'm on the 10 now. I don't think I class that as impulsive enough. So that one will be deleted. This one's questionable. And obviously we've still got these big pushes going on here. This one pretty much about fills this one. There's maybe a tiny bit left there. I don't know if that disappears after the any other time frame. So just double check. Yeah, yeah, this one fills this here. So this one would be questionable as a possible. I'd be quite happy with that. I think just about. Now, obviously, there's this one that I'd still got marked up. So yeah, obviously it's tight. There's only a tiny bit in there, possibly in there. Could maybe, if you look at this price action as well, it's jumping around a bit. It's possibly what it taps into as well. Obviously, if we've been seeing lately that doesn't always guarantee to target the imbalance being filled. It could be targeting something else. Breaker blocks, we call them. I haven't figured it out yet, so I'm not going to attempt to. But once you've got that obviously zone, that would be pending on, and I've got the pending drawn already. No. So yeah, that would be pending set. Obviously out of the two, if I had two zones like this that you're sort of fairly happy with, I always advise to go with the one that's furthest away, because if you or set one on each, set half risk on each. Obviously, it's up to you guys. I generally just go for the furthest one away because I'm happy to miss. I'm happy to miss trades to not have the stress of less likely to lose. So obviously, this is just bar replay. And we know it's tapped this zone, but price could come up and do that and sell off. I'm happy to do that. Obviously, it does do this, but if you only put a one on the lower one, so if you only put a trade on this entry zone that I just marked up, chances are you'll lose that one and then not catch the other one. So that's why I always say the one that's furthest away from the price. Obviously, price goes down and starts coming back up, which is obviously the green one will be the furthest one away. I can't believe I just explained that. It's a bit obvious, but you know. So uh, obviously at that point, you found an entry. So you'd set your pending order or watch it, set an alert wherever you wanted. Allow a bit of a spread. Obviously, you'd have to check broker. I don't know what the brokerage is, but mine's self-funded, so it's probably less than a pip anyway. And then obviously you would be targeting, as I say, low points. So you'd be targeting low points from when it comes back. So I'll play it a bit, and we can't hit that many targets because I know it got too far. But so there, obviously, it would tap you in nicely. Don't break the green zone. Obviously, as I always say, entry would be the high of the overall imbalance leg, obviously for the entry that's caused, plus spreads, plus a little bit more. So as long as it doesn't break the green line in a little bit more, you should be safe. Um, at that point, obviously, or just before that, really, you should always obviously have targets in mind before you enter the trade. But obviously, the pending would have been on just after this red line here, so you couldn't then target something in here because it's taken by this. So have something in mind, but once you're sort of in, you would then obviously try and find actual targets. So obviously that's just tagged in. So from this point, I'd be looking at it and then going, is there targets? So obviously we've got a trend line here to be taken. So I'd be fairly comfortable in saying you're at least taking that or at least touching it. uh, Obviously this is a major structure swing for it. So I would assume it's maybe going to come in at least fill something in here. We'll have to look at this imbalance. So maybe something there that's going to target. And obviously it depends if it's, like I said, I can't remember how far it goes. I don't know, but if it breaks these, then if it does break this, I imagine it'll break this. We'll maybe tag something in here and pull back a bit. And then obviously I would assume it's maybe going to then start targeting this low overall and possibly new lower low. Um, I'm not going to bar replay it because I'm just going to cancel it and see where it's gone. Yeah, so like I say, it's tagged something in here, pulled back. Um, it's about at the low at the minute. We've got a line drawn on it. White yellow. Yeah, it's just taken the low. Just taking it. I have no idea what it's going to do for me, like, but yeah, obviously it's targeted low anyway, as I says it's, and then that would be a 1 to 20 for a possible sell. That's that trade anyway, guys. I suppose is a possibility that we've got this sort of trend line going on here. I'd like to see what it does from here. So if it starts breaking above here or here, one of them, we could see buys, and like I say, we could on the could see buys still, obviously into the somewhere in this sort of price action. if it doesn't, something there is a possibility, I guess. If it obviously it's taken that now, if it starts breaking highs, because we are, like I said, I do think this has technically broken, but because of the time of day, I wouldn't be too sure. So I'd like price to actually maybe even close below it and go way beyond it. But obviously, with the trend line being taken, it could have just created the trend line and then used it for this. It could have created this, created the orders, and then obviously used the liquidity and the momentum to cause the break of the low that I would want to see. So obviously, we might actually just see, obviously it's broken. We might come and see a mitigation in here and then a continuation. That's a real possibility, but I'm not going to get too deep into that right now. Is there any questions on that, guys? Did I just say anything that didn't make sense to you? Or
No, it actually, when you explain it, it's a classic setup, isn't it?
it's fantastic, Matt. I'm pretty annoyed I didn't see it myself, to be honest, but lack of chat time, and it is what it is.
Yeah.
Obviously I know I say I was on with uh, Joe Murray in the week, and I was just saying I know it. I make it sound really simple, and I fully appreciate it's not that easy to just pick up and do. But once you once you figure out a bit of structure, once you figure out imbalances and start seeing the trend lines,
Yeah.
it then obviously you put it all together as a story as such. So there's obviously the reason for this point of interest is it's taken a structure low. There's probably a trend line in there somewhere, maybe. I just haven't found it. I couldn't find it. I took
I
quite
had a good look. I couldn't see anything the other day when we were
no,
talking about it. Yeah.
no, I couldn't see it. But I mean, so the reason I think one of the main reasons I didn't even have this marked is because I had this trend line marked. So I just deleted that. That's got white.
You made it white.
So I had this trend line. So there's three great touches in here. So I had one on the 4 hour.
I think I had that as well.
Yeah, I think there's like a 15-minute zone in here. So obviously, I thought the sell off was this one here originally. So I thought this is a good point for a reversal, possibly. I'll show you that in a way because obviously trend line, obviously price clears off, does its thing, eventually comes back. So obviously, I'm drawing these points of interest just because there's good reason for it possibly reversing from these. So this one is the cause of a major structure low taken. This one, I'll mark it better so you can see. I've just randomly marked it at the minute. So this one here, possibly that. Obviously, imbalance created here. This one, this point of interest, is possibly the cause of this trend line being taken that I've just shown you. So turn it off. Yeah, so obviously this taps into it. There's probably a trade from there as well, to be fair. Break mitigation possibly in here somewhere. So there's possible sell. That's possibly a sell there. And obviously this leg comes back even higher than this wick. So because it's come back high and not broken the high, it still is a valid thing. Um, yeah, obviously starts breaking lows here. Comes back, mitigates it, sells off. But I mean, I've not had the best of looks and gone. Well, maybe that's what it'll do, mate. Maybe it'll be maybe it will come higher and mitigate something in here that we have just not spotted as such, you know. But there's got to be a reason for it. So if I can't find a trend line in here, or obviously that's the point of where I'd say it's breaking to the upside, and then I would be looking for buys in reality. Obviously after it pulls back, but I don't really. Obviously, there's a reason for this why I would mark this one because it breaks a major low. If I don't see any liquidity in here, then I won't really have a reason to mark this sort of area up. So yeah, I don't.
I couldn't get anything in there, like, not neat
Nah,
enough. Not
no,
not
no,
neat enough to your rules.
no. Well, this is why I mean that. This is why I think it's going to sell off from here because I don't really see anything up here that takes my fancy as much. You know, so I'm not saying that it's not actually going to come up and react because it might come and it might come for say something in there or maybe you know that might be a it might be something, but nothing stands out quite like this one here. So, well, that's why I think it's possibly the full reversal point because I'm happy with where it is. See, yeah, see, there's that there. So, there's that there. Pull back. You know, so technically, this is possibly that's possibly the cause of this, the break of structure that causes the break. So trend line, pull back, last touch, sweep, break of structure. So if I draw this line, so obviously if this was live price, obviously this would be a break. So this is possibly the cause of it. Something in here breaks it, comes back, possibly mitigates, but I don't like the fact that the body. I'd much prefer the bodies of the candle to close below, which is here, which means that then this is possibly the zone that you look for an entry, which obviously you see it just about taps in here, there. So this zone could very well have already played out a long time ago. Um, so yeah, I don't really think that. Don't think it wants to come that high for that. That's market open price there. Got that, which means there you go. So this setup, I would say this definitely played out now. It played out now, if not out there. So obviously that takes it anyway. So obviously I don't think this fully works out, but there's a trend line there. Obviously this is the cause of it taken, so there's possibly a sell in there as well. But depends where that trend line goes, I guess. Yeah. So I was just adjusting the line to see if there was an alternate trend line that made this the um, possible point of interest. Sorry. I don't trust that one. Just does make it perfect though. Yeah, that's very questionable, but it does make. No, it doesn't. Yeah. Anyway, there's I can't remember where I had the line before now. What is it? Yeah, so anyway, this trend line would draw me attention to this sort of point of interest anyway. Obviously, it looks like it's come for this order block anyway. But I'd always say if you're trying to sell from this anyway, like I would be saying, why? I used to message Matt all the time about this. To be fair, so if I was trying to sell from there and I see this above it, I'd be messaging him going, hey, "What the fuck are you doing?" So, you know, like I said, I've not looked at the zone deeply, but it all but touches it, sweeps into it, then breaks to the downside, comes back, mitigates the order block that causes the break. So yeah, obviously all your zones have got to have pretty much done something. That's the point I'm trying to make. Um, see what it looks like on the 1 minute. See that 1150. Yeah, I want to max it. Well, they max it like that anyway, but you could act. Everyone marks the zones differently anyway. Some people mark it like that because this is the last point that the price is bought from before this move happens. So I just normally do the imbalance fills. So I would have definitely marked it like that, I think. But I suppose if I'd have seen the build up liquidity and sweep, it would just show me zone, I'd consider it, I guess. um, but yeah, like I said, I don't really see much reason for it coming up any higher than this anyway. So, like I say, it's all but tapped into that. Trades played out. Um, unless I end up seeing some like a trend line or something I'm really happy with. So that's that anyway. Is there any questions, guys?
No, I'm good.
Got anything you want me to look over, Matt, or
I don't actually, thank you. Nothing
no?
new, no.
No?
No, I would have brought it if I had.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Lee,
Yes, mate.
yeah, how you know when you have the trend lines and then you extend them,
Yes.
how do you do that?
So if you obviously I use the trend line tool, this one here, mate.
Yeah, yeah.
So just draw it to 2 points. If you click on these, so I've got templates saved, mate. So if you want to extend it, you would click on settings and
Oh, extend to the right, is it? Yeah,
yeah, extend. You can do left, right, middle,
yeah.
whatever. So yeah, extend right. Obviously, you see it's just extended.
And then you saved as okay, yeah.
Yeah, and then obviously I've clicked on save as, and obviously I name them. So for me, obviously, if I want to extend it right, obviously liquidity to take if it's not been taken yet. So obviously you can then set a limit on that if you choose to. And then when price hits it, obviously you'll get an alert. So And obviously, if I want to have no writing and not extended, I've got no writing. And obviously, you can just set writing. So if you've got obviously equal highs to mark or equal lows, it's just a equal lows. Yeah, so it's just I've got a few pre-settings, mate.
Yeah.
But I've got that for like my trend lines. I've got the me boxes. So no, don't do that one. So I've got like a 15-minute zone, which will turn everything orange for me. BPR would be purple, entry green, high time frame point of interest red. These are all for, well, the majority of them are for me how I used to trade. So I used to have like red, orange, and green boxes and things. So and yellow for imbalance boxes to show you guys. I've mainly just used blue boxes now. But yeah, I was and me normal lines as well. I've got so this is just a array. I think they call it array, horizontal array. So I've got one. Like if I've got looking for a 1 minute breaker structure, that'll turn it green. 15-minute break would be red. Obviously, then I've got imbalance. The points at what imbalances would be filled and things like that, mate. So
Yeah, cool.
I
Thanks.
color coordinate everything. So obviously before when I was doing my 4-15-1, like I say, red box, green boxes, orange boxes, and lines to suit because I was looking at different structure points and swing points and boxes sort of thing, imbalances. It was just so I could open the chart and because I color coordinated everything, I could open the chart and know where each trade was at. So when I first figured me that system out, for the first sort of few weeks, I was opening the charts and going, I'd have an alert, and obviously nothing was color coordinated. I was opening the chart and going, well, I don't even know what part the trade's at. So obviously, I had decided I had to color coordinate things so I could open it and go, right, I'm still at orange, which is the don't go yet sort of thing. Obviously, I based it around the traffic light system. So obviously, red is stop, orange is get ready sort of thing, and then green is go. So green's green light basically. So set a pending or whatever.
Thanks.
So yeah, it just helps me. Obviously, it's quicker with marking up as well. So obviously, these arrows I can just obviously I can mark, change a character, show you guys liquidity sweeps or whatever. Just means I ain't got to prat around and type out when I'm trying to type something, and just makes me time on the charts that little bit more efficient, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Thanks.
just obviously figure out what you're going to be wanting to do, mate, and what colours and things, and just get it all preset. It'll only take you like half hour to actually get everything you needed.
Cheers.
No worries, mate. Um, well, I mean, if there's no more, I could either call it there or I could just have a look through a couple of charts, see if we've outcoming this week, guys, if you wanted.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, quick flip through, see if we can see anything that stands out. So, bloody trend lines. No, no, don't do that. I feel like GU's a bit of a mess. Possible buys in the week, I think. Trend line in here. Sweep. Breaker structure to the upside. So I'll be interested in possibly something in there in the week. That's liquidity there, possibly filled something there, so we could actually sell off as well. So GU is just taking that. Possibly filled something there. Did that do anything? No. I was just looking. So obviously this black line's the high of that current leg. Just looking if that disorder block caused anything. They sort of took that, I guess, but I don't think they'd class that as a major swing point. So we have still got possible liquidity to take, so could actually buy up just to fill something in here, I guess. So this is a major low, and that might have already played out actually. I was going to say this might be worth a look at, but I think it's played out from there. Mitigation, break structure, possible entry from this wick here. Mitigation somewhere in there. Whereas GU, I feel like it's a bit of a mess, so bypass that one a bit. GJ. I need to clear up my charts. I don't know if that's a sweep now. Just blitzing through these guys. Don't hold me to these right now. There you go. Nice looking trend line there. Sweep. We might well break this tomorrow. Break that tomorrow. And this looks like it could be a good one as well. So that's the high. It's tapped into this order block. There. That causes this major low to be taken. Up there. Structure. Yeah, order block causes this to be taken. So obviously there's this trend line liquidity there to be wary of, but so yeah, obviously it's filled something in that point of interest that's done something to the left. We've got good trend line here by looks of it, and then we yeah, if we break this, we can possibly see a sell-off from maybe somewhere in here. This is only rough at the minute, guys. Don't obviously I'll take a better look at this. I'll just fill in a few minutes for you, but I like the point of interest. I like the sweep. Um, 30. Is that news? I'm guessing. But yeah, from here, so if it breaks that, I'd be more than happy. It might well have been moved, depending on if there's more trend lines, liquidity. This might be the pullback for the first sweep, first break to the downside, this one here. So obviously this sweeps. Price has come back up possibly and mitigated something in here. Look, there you can see it's tapped into this beautifully. Bang on center of that on about 1 minute. I've tapped into that breaker bot maybe. No. But as you see, it looks fucking great on the 1 minute anyway. So push up, inbounds created. So yeah, this is possibly the first more aggressive entry of. Oh, did I say which one that's it? Yeah, this low here. So it does pull back, creates a new high, and then eventually breaks this. So this might have been the first entry. But if it breaks that, say we might well come back and hit something in this price action to then sell off bigger for. Obviously, it could continue up as well. It's always a possibility. But from a structure, that's a mess. I don't know if I want that to. I don't know whether that's going to go long or short. To be honest, it's a mess. It's a mess. Obviously, it looks from here like we are possibly trending like long, but obviously with me only taking a portion of price action from this area, I mean this is possibly relevant. So this is definitely long. But if I take this into consideration, obviously this is a high, this is a low. We're stuck in this range, so but we are possibly starting to trend down a touch now as well. So we're range bound on this as far as I'm concerned. It could go up or down. Um, I mean, which is the same for anything, I suppose, but more messy than quite a lot of them in, I'm guessing. G card. That's up into. I see it a while ago. Think I'd kind of like that to go a bit higher into that fill that imbalance, but I'm not sure if that's already done it or not. It's already played out. Um, 2 hour. Currently downtrending, so Just looking, so we've got a low here. This is possibly the cause of it. Cause of it. Trend line also takes a trend line, which causes the break. So, yeah, so we mitigate something high up. Concern is, so what I'm looking for now is obviously, I mean, this might have played out. I'll check this in a minute, but so mitigate something in the point of interest. We possibly get a break here, and this is possibly the entry for the sell-off. Just checking to see if this might well be a trap for, say, the higher sell-off. So, uh, trend line here, sweep, break structure, entry. It looks like we get a trend line sweep in here. So this is the cause of this liquidity being taken. No, goes higher. Which technically that could be the point of interest. It's big though. Possible mitigation, break. So we could come for just a lot of what ifs, I know. But taps that, yeah. We could well come up for that, possibly something like that. Not good enough for me. Yeah, I mean, I suppose there's a chance that it might come back and tap up as one of these two-ish sort of like looking zones. Don't think it's done that yet. No. So yeah, has G card could come higher, could sell off, could have sold off Friday. So better look at that. So, again, so Obviously, I think that's possibly the low. High eventually breaks that low, so low just causes it. So yeah, there's a very good possibility that that was the actual sell-off. You won't want it to be take that at 7:45 on a Friday though. Depends how you about that. It might not have played out as well. Obviously, it's a possibility. Conveyed market. So I'm assuming that was news, isn't it? Maybe. Yeah, I'd be very cautious on that one. But you sort of see what I'm trying to do for marking up anyway, guys. Obviously, I'm trying to find a decent sweep into a decent point of interest. Obviously,
Yeah.
all have good reasons, guys. I'll call it there anyway because I'm going to go and prepare for work this week.
You're right. Thank you, Lee.
Cheers,
Cool.
guys.
Thanks,
I'll
Lee.
catch you boys in a bit. Have a good
See you
week.
later. Bye-bye.
Bye.